Hello, this is George, and today I'm going to be going over Chapter 13, the evolution of physical education in 1940s and beyond. So, we start with baseball during World War II. Baseball before the World Wars and after the World Wars is still America's favorite pastime. President Roosevelt thought that everyone, even baseball players, should enlist for the war, and that is exactly what they did. The reason for this was they had a decline in people to go into war, so they needed every manpower they could use in order to win. People, Hall of Famers such as Joe DiMaggio, Jackie Robinson, and many others enlisted for the war, but teams were worried about their safety. Women during this time were not allowed to do much until the Chicago Cubs owner organized an All-American Women League, mainly to keep Wrigley Field open during the war. This would help with income and financial problems that were going on in America due to the war. At the beginning, the rules were modified, softball rules that kept changing and eventually turned into almost the same rules as baseball. The All-American Women's League took over America and kept all the teams in business. Sorry, just kidding. The league became so popular that in 1992, starring Tom Hanks, there was a movie about All-American Women's League. This would help promote women to join these softball leagues and stuff. Post World War II and Cold War, the Major League of Baseball resumed, and the Women's League was in the shadows. Physical fitness became national security. There was a number of men that enlisted into the draft that failed the physical test, and being a top country in the world that wasn't good enough. Physical fitness became one of the top priorities for our army as Russia was threatening with another war. President Eisenhower made physical fitness an everyday thing after this, and that is when the school system incorporated PE into the class schedule. PE was in just about every school in America from 1950 to 1975, which was the end of the Vietnam War. Physically unable students were put in a modified PE class, which also made them active during this time. So the problem with this would be, as war, you have to be fit. You're on the field all day, and if you can't meet the physical requirements like running and having enough strength to carry the backpack on your then you're not going to survive. And so what they did was how the Army, the Marines, the Navy, they all implemented physical fitness tests, which you have to pass in order to gain your gain like a I don't know how to say it, but so you can be out in the field, earn your badges so you can make it and further, and so you can be deployed out there. Because if you can't, then you're useless to them. And so, PE classes in high school and college were separated by gender, and both had their own distinct workout plans. Men focus on serious sports, while women focus on about the same thing, but not as serious. The men's was more serious because they had to be in better shape, and with them being enlisted and not being able to meet requirements, they had to take these classes more serious than the women who just stayed at home and didn't have to join the army. Co-ed PE classes started in 1950s, and everyone was happy about this so-called progression. Or moving forward by combining the two. Philosopher Dr. Steinhaus did a study about combining the two genders. He agreed on how this will make the social world a whole lot better, but defeats the purpose of having a PE course. It is not smart to want a man to get strength while competing against a much weaker person. At the same time, I think though this could be counterintuitive, because knowing how men are, if with women in their class, they're more likely to try harder to try and impress the woman. So at the same time, it's like a psychological thing that could help the men work harder because they want to impress somebody. The history of physical education. During the 1960s, there was a big challenge going around called the JFK Challenge, which wasn't much of a challenge, but more of a motivational factor. This is a video on YouTube that describes PE classes during the war area, and also describes how the University of California, Berkeley status was during the war area. Plays video. Can't because we're not in class. You get the idea. Integrity of physical education. There are many questions swirling about the integrity of which team you were put on during the physical education phase. A lot of people question heart and work ethic, but many of these tests are fairly difficult, and they're described in the YouTube video. Franklin Henry was a professor of PE at Berkeley and looked at the class totally different than other teachers because he just studied the course instead of testing the workouts for himself. Not many people agreed to Henry's ideas on physical education, and the PE faculty did not like it because they came second to scientists and reigned supreme over everyone. That reigned supreme over everyone else. This could cause problems because physical education teachers, they work through college and stuff in order to get this degree in order so they could teach people. And with scientists coming in the hand, they felt like their jobs were useless to the people, and it kind of wasn't fair. So it kind of put them at a low for them. Physical education in modern day. Over time, physical education departments in both high school and colleges started to identify with more exercise, health, and fitness than traditional PE activities tied to game and sports. In the 1980s, exercise physiology began to identify itself as a new focus called exercise science, which then moved towards biomechanics. The academics of it started to consist more of exercise science, sports medicine, athletic training, and rehabilitation of sports injury via physical therapy and kinesiotherapy. They have all replaced the simple nature of physical education. What I mean by this is, as time goes on, physical education doesn't just drop into one category like how we are in elementary school. All we learned about was running and our heart and stuff, but just the basis of it. So we would do tests, and they would just tell us this is what the test is, and it didn't really give us the nature of how it can help our mind and body. So this is what these classes do. Exercise science is the basis of everything, sports medicine and athletic training and rehabilitation of sport injury, which will help you. It gives you the breakdown of things that you would need to eat and how to stretch and how to take care of your body in a sense. And kinesiology or kinesiotherapy would tell you how to movements of your body that will help to strengthen you, and so pretty much working out and everything like that. The evolution of PE is still continuing to this day forward. More contemporary PE departments feature a hybrid curriculum that includes teacher training and exercise science, while some have abandoned teacher training for exercise science. What this means is so this is kind of getting rid of a sense of teachers being there for you. You can just learn exercise science through a book or something, and instead of a teacher showing you, it will be a book showing you, and it'll need less for a teacher knowing how to do these exercises in order to show you. They can just tell you, look in the book, and there you go. Physical education tests in the modern day. So tests that were presented to us when we were younger, or in the 21st century, being the PACER test. This was a running test that measured the athlete's aerobic capacity. The athlete would run a 20-meter distance to one spot before the beep went off, and as time would go on, it would start beeping quicker. This test was soon banned because I think it was they saw it as it wasn't really helpful, and it was kind of a torture with as many lines you had to, or many meters you had to run with it, and it was just kind of a useless test. There was the push-up test, which is a fitness test that measures your strength and endurance of your upper body. There's usually a passing goal for men and women in school, and a maximum goal to reach for the army and stuff. There's obviously different circumstances. You have a certain time or a certain amount to do, and this was to test your strength for the upper body. The sit-up test measures your strength and endurance in your abdominal region and hip flexor region. There's different tests, obviously, for school. There's a target goal you have to reach, and if you don't, you have to keep doing it until you can meet that goal. And for the military, the Marines, for instance, they have a 2-minute limit to see how much they can get, and there's obviously a passing goal for that. And until you can get that many in that 2 minutes, then it will determine how you would go on and go forth in their system. The mile run test is, like it says, you do a mile and see how long it takes you to do, and there was a passing time, obviously, for men and women, and different ones, because they obviously thought that men were stronger and more athletic than women, which in this case today is always not true. So it's kind of kind of like it's dumb to have us to not have the same passing goal. But this measures your endurance for aerobics and your leg muscles. There's a sit and reach test, which is a common measure of your flexibility of the lower back and hamstrings. Um, I don't think that this is really implemented in today's society for PE, but it's still something that they did in the 21st century. And this was to help people, get up and stretch their bodies. And so, like, something that stretching does is, like, prevents blood clots and, like, it'll make you less tight and, like, make you feel better. If you stretch every night, it'll help you sleep at night. So they did this in order to, it also strengthens muscles because uh, it like loosens up your muscles and it stretches them out to make them stronger, so you can make them stronger and put more like muscle fibers in there. The pull-up test. This was a test used to measure the strength and endurance of your upper body, like your whole upper body, biceps, triceps, shoulders, back, chest. This is what you do is you grab a bar and use a wide grip and you pull yourself up without any assistance. And this is a test that's in the military. I think you have to do a total of 20 in order to pass, or 30 in order to pass, so that you can move on in the ranks. And women, I'm not really sure if they had to do this test though. There's different types, as I mentioned, there's different types of physical education, like kinesiology. This is the study of the mechanics of body movements. So this is like when you run, like, this is more like a biomechanic, but like how you, like the degrees and the angles that you use in order to run. And like it also studies how you can move faster and stuff. Athletic training, this encompasses all the prevention, examination, diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of emergent acute or chronic injuries and medical conditions. So for example, at most high schools and colleges, and like in the upper, like you have athletic trainers who study this. When you get hurt, you'll go see them and you'll tell them everything that's wrong with you, and they'll give you like a result back. Like if you sprained your ankle, like you would say you rolled your ankle, it's bruised, it's fat, swollen. They'll tell you probably sprained your ankle, and then they'll give you treatment for it and tell you what you can do in order to make it better. And it'll tell you how long you have to sit out and the like grade of it, like grade 1, grade 2. There's also human nutrition. This deals with the provision of essential nutrients in food that are necessary to support human life and health. And I think this is something that was implemented a little too late in our PE classes, or like in our physical awareness, because fitness is the thing. I mean, human nutrition is the main thing that we need in order to fuel ourselves, to make us perform at our peak level. If we don't eat right, if we like put the wrong things in our body, drinks, anything, then it can prevent us from being the best we can be at a physical standpoint. And so I believe that people can be fit and everything, but then if you look at the people who work out a lot, they sometimes say like, oh, I don't see no change. And I think this is because of your dieting. If you don't diet right, then there's no way that you're going to be able to prosper, because if you're putting the wrong fuels in your body, you're not going to be able to work your hardest. And then it's just like it's not pointless, but you're only giving 50%, because like you need certain vitamins, you need proteins, you need your calcium, all that stuff in order to get bigger, or per se get smaller. Like certain diets, like vegetarians, like, or vegan, or like any diet that make you want to get skinnier. You can work out and you can run and everything, but if you're just putting bad things in your body, you're going to either get bigger or you're going to stay the same. So I think human nutrition is one thing that is like one of the most important things that's stressed nowadays in our physical education. The evolution of it is something that is kind of starting more in like today's, like 2019, 2020, is technology being a part in physical education. There's like things that teachers can use that can trace the amount of work that you do, or like they can use apps and that you can show them like what you did and like over a certain time span. And it's kind of like a great way to use this technology in order to help with physical fitness. It's kind of counterintuitive because people who use technology are usually known as couch potatoes, and they're sedentary lifestyles, and they tend to be, lazy and stuff. So, but there's people who can use technology to benefit their physical health, and this is one way. Like, there's a bunch of apps that you can track your running, how many miles you ran. You can check your workouts. They have workouts for you on there. And then if you look at this YouTube video that I linked on there, it shows you that a teacher is using these watches for these students, and it shows if they're working hard or not by determining like a color. And they say like it'll make you work harder because if your friends see that you're working harder than them, they'll be like, oh, like I need to work harder to get to where they're at. And so I think it's just a nice way to implement technology into physical education. And that's a big part, especially since technology is probably one of the biggest things in our society today. So, and that's all I have. Thank you for listening. You know, any questions, email me. I'll put my email in the bio. And thank you.